Good morning, church. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Providence, where we love beyond belief. I am really happy to welcome you all this morning. No, I am not Roxanne Stern, but I will be your worship associate nonetheless, until she gets here anyway. So, thank you. My friends, this is the day we have been given. It is not as gloomy as it seems, I promise you. Let us worship together. Where's our music? Oh, I started early. I'm not really good at stand-up, so we're not going to do that. Sorry. There you go. That's my only laughing for today. I didn't realize I started. You know this whole clock thing? Right? We lost an hour this morning. And I forgot. I ran around the house before bed setting all the clocks except the one that I look at in the morning. And I thought I had more time. Maybe that's where Roxanne is. The clocks. Yeah. There we go. There we go. I am glad to see all of you. Some of my favorite people. I was just saying, Sunday mornings, like around 9:30, when the choir is practicing and people are coming, it is my favorite time of the week. Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, you couldn't hear me a second ago? I do that. So I think I'm talking, but I'm kind of talking to myself. I just said, getting old is not for the faint of heart. Agreed? So, there we go. Anyway, our music will be here in a minute. Maybe Roxanne will be here, and we'll get on with the day. And we are right back on track again. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. For the invocation this morning, I would like you all to turn in your hymnals to number 464. It's called And Then. This is from the Reverend Judy Chicago. Our theme today is justice, economic justice. And I think this is fitting. Plus we get something to do. I will read the regular text, and if you would read the italicized text. And then all that has divided us will merge. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both women and men will be strong. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth. May it be so, eat and abound. Amen. I am going to say the words of the chalice while our pastoral care associate, Cindy, lights the flame. Please say these words with me, printed in your order of service. This light burns also in our hearts, and it lights the way toward harmony, justice, and hope for all. It is our practice to share the words of the covenant of the members of this congregation. If you are new or visiting us, you are welcome to say these words with us. And if you are not so new and a long-time member, please also say these words as you are able. We, the members of the First Unitarian Church of Providence, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the light we know by many names, and with gratitude for our deep connection to each other and the larger web of existence, covenant to walk together in our search for truth, seeking the paths of wisdom, compassion, and justice. And now you know this is Commitment Month, so we have a testimonial from Sally Casals.
Good morning. Can you hear me at the back? Thank you. My name is Sally Castles, and as Roger said, I'm the chair of the Commitment Drive this year. I've been coming to First U since the fall of 2022. It was soon after I'd moved to Bristol from Lexington, Mass., where my husband Andy and I had lived for 35 years and where we'd raised our two sons. To say that at that point my life was a mess would be an extreme understatement. We'd bought our house in Bristol in 2020 because we wanted to be closer to Andy's family. But by the time the house was ready for us to move into, his Alzheimer's had progressed to the point where he needed full-time care. A few months earlier, I had placed him in a memory care assisted living facility in Lexington. And just when I thought things couldn't get worse, the week before I moved, my dog died. I had good reasons to come to First U. Apart from Andy's family, I knew nobody in Rhode Island. Andy and I had been members of Fallen Church in Lexington for more than 20 years, and we'd often said that if we ever moved somewhere new, we'd join a UU church because it was such a great way to meet new people who would become your friends. It felt pretty strange to come into a new church where I didn't know anybody, but it also felt really great to be part of Sunday morning service. And I knew that for a while I could do just that. But by the time the big day in 2023 arrived, I'd settled into a routine that let me spend part of the week up in Lexington taking care of Andy, and then a few days back down in Bristol where I could recover. And because I'd been heavily involved with stewardship and governance at Fallon, I knew that participating in the big day would help me figure out where things were going here, and also a good way for myself to get involved for myself when and if I ever had some bandwidth. I don't recall exactly what happened next, but not long after the big day, I took the new member class and became a member of First U. When I met Liz at that class and she asked me if I'd given any thought to how I'd got to get involved, I said I thought I'd like to help out with the commitment drive. She didn't quite fall over, but she did look a little surprised. At Fallon, when I got involved in stewardship, I'd been at the church for many years and I knew practically everyone. But even so, the first year I had only a few pledge units and I was more than a little tense about asking people for a pledge. But I found that by focusing on talking with people about their experience at the church, it really became enjoyable. And over time, I became very comfortable with being a steward, and I ended up being part of a small sub-team that worked over the summer to rethink and overhaul our pledging process. We needed to do something because our longtime minister had retired, and we knew that in order to attract a new minister, we needed to crank up our pledging church-wide. We reworked our process, hired a new minister, and a few years later did a capital campaign that raised $4 million, so it was worth doing. Stewardship is important for every church. What I like most about being a steward is being a visiting steward, because I find it's a way I connect with members of the congregation in a way that goes beyond coffee hour pleasantries. When I first came here, I was at a place in my life where I never expected to be, with no roadmap. I still have no roadmap, but I do know a lot more people, and a lot of that is because of my involvement here. In addition to being on the pledge drive, I've had an enormous amount of support from my Chalice Circle and through Nancy Worthen's Mindful Grieving group. I've come to a place where I feel like I can move forward. Last year's strategic campaign was successful by every measure. We raised over $2 million, we hired Mahima. Pretty soon we'll be able to use that new kitchen, and we have teams hard at work planning the improvements to the auditorium and to making this meeting house more accessible. And our congregation is really strong. Our RE program, our social justice action, our community involvement, engagement programs they're all thriving. We attract visitors and new members. But all of our volunteer activities here at First U are supported by our staff. And so it's really important that we, in turn, commit to support them. Our challenge this year is that we have unforeseen and unpredicted increases in the costs of providing medical insurance or health insurance. And to cover that, we need to raise the amount we raised by our pledges by about 7%. Not all of us will be able to meet that specific challenge. Some of us will be able to give more than we're asked. Some will need to reduce their pledges or stay level. What matters most is that each of us tries to give what we can and according to what First U means in our lives. This week, you'll get a pledge packet in the mail, and you may also receive an email from a visiting steward. Please read the letter, and if you have an opportunity, meet with a visiting steward. It's a good way for you to provide feedback on how things are going for you here at First U. Finally, in addition to committing to First U through your pledge, I'd like you all to consider becoming visiting stewards. Thank you.
Let us sing together. Please turn in your hymnals to 119, Once to Every Soul and Nation. Nation and soul. Once to every soul and nation. Please rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able.
Good morning. I'm Roxanne Stern, and I am serving as part-time worship associate today. I have a reading from Estelle Frankel, from a work that she wrote entitled The Wisdom of Not Knowing. All freedom journeys require an open mind, a mind that is not conditioned by past knowledge and experience, but open to possibility. Questioning opens the doors of our imagination, enabling us to consider alternatives to the status quo. Unless one is capable of imagining another possible reality, one cannot free oneself from bondage. We humans are creatures of habit. Our daily routines confront us and make us feel secure, for they allow us to know and predict what is going to happen. Resistance to change is actually built into our evolutionary wiring. Freedom is ultimately uncertain and unpredictable. One of the first lessons we all must learn in order to be free is how to bear uncertainty and trust in the unknown.
So it looks like this is not printed in your order of service, but the song we're going to do now is called Prayer Chant or We Resist by Mark Miller.
We
Indeed, we are all in it together until the end. These are the joys and sorrows we are carrying on our hearts in this beloved community. From Dylan Baranski, a candle of joy, not only for all the women of this congregation, but of the whole world. Happy International Women's Day. From Deborah and George Schusler, a candle of celebration for the life of our aunt, Peggy Wood, who died at age 94 this past week. She was a brilliant, accomplished woman who was an anchor of love and support for our family. Added to that, prayers of support are appreciated, remembering Peggy's children, Fran Wood, Tony Award winner Frank Wood, and Senator Maggie Hassan, who left her mother's bedside to return to Washington to restrict the president's war powers authority. There is dedication. Our hearts go out to the whole family. From Jane Knight, a candle of joy for my mom getting settled in assisted living, and a candle of gratitude for all those who helped it happen. This one has no name and it just says, feeling sad. Please do come forward and talk to me or the pastoral care team anytime. From Rebecca Brown, a candle of joy for the sale of Roger Williams and Our Lady of Fatima safety net hospitals. It's been over 4 years in the making, and thousands of hospital employees and patients are celebrating. We are so grateful to everyone who made this possible. From Ann Connor, prayers for my friend Woody, undergoing treatment for a brain tumor. And finally, from the pastoral care team, a candle of joy and gratitude to Nancy Dooley, who has launched our Caregivers Support Group on Zoom. And I will add to that, I think it was in this Friday's newsletter, if you are a caregiver, if there is someone connected to you who is a caregiver, they don't have to be members of this church, please be in touch with me. I'd love to connect you to this great group that's doing good work for people. Thus ended the announcements and the joys and sorrows. Let us join our hearts and minds in meditation, prayer, and silent reflection. Remember that during the time of personal reflection, if you have lost someone this year and you want to raise your hand or stand, we will hold them in silent tribute together. This morning, just a simple prayer for economic justice. Spirit of life and love, dear God of justice, there is so much work to do. We've only begun to imagine justice and mercy in these trying times, difficult times. Help us hold fast to our vision of what can be. May we see the hope in our history and find the courage and the voice to work for that constant rebirth of economic security and equality and justice. This is our great hope. May it be so. Amen.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Gene Dyslevsky. I serve as a community minister here at First Unitarian. You rarely see me on Sunday because of my day job. I'm pastor of Lime Rock Baptist Church, and Sunday happens at the same time all over the state. I'm generally given the privilege of the pulpit once a year, and this is that Sunday. This is the Sunday when nobody knows what time it is, right? So I will have to thank the folk who come in at the end of the service who think they're coming on time. I'm also a Commissioner of Social Justice with the Rhode Island State Council of Churches. And so I came to ask for your help. The Council of Churches gets involved with a number of issues: reproductive rights, intellectual freedom, immigration, health. Today, our focus is on tax fairness. And we work in partnership with other coalitions and groups. For example, we work in partnership with the Economic Progress Institute, the Unitarian Universalist Legislative Ministry, and you. So, to begin with, to kind of paint a picture of what the issue is, it is my pleasure to introduce Ms. Nina Harrison, Policy Director for the Economic Progress Institute. Nina will introduce the topic of the legislation that is our focus.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. I am first going to talk about some of the reasons we need tax fairness in the state and kind of what's at stake if we aren't able to achieve that. In my experience as a Rhode Islander, Rhode Islanders value children, families, community, and fairness. But as we know, life is often unfair, and over the summer, Congress passed one big anything but beautiful bill, which essentially stole tax money from the poorest Americans to give tax breaks to the richest Americans. This is not fair, and it will harm us all if we don't take action and if the state doesn't take action. That bill essentially diverted about $1 trillion from health insurance and food assistance programs like SNAP to make tax breaks for the richest permanent. And if we do nothing to achieve tax fairness, 14,000 families in Rhode Island could lose SNAP. If we do nothing, we'll have thousands more hungry children in the state. If we do nothing, as it stands, 53,000 Rhode Islanders are on track to lose health insurance because of that bill that was passed this summer. And if we do nothing, insurance premiums will rise for the rest of us who have insurance. Already, at least 40,000 Rhode Islanders have seen their premiums double on average this year. And if we do nothing, we will have our hospital emergency rooms flooded with uninsured patients who can't pay their medical bills. And as many of you may know, hospitals are obligated to provide care in the emergency room. And so when our uninsured population doubles, our hospital emergency rooms are going to become flooded. Our community health centers and free clinics are going to become overwhelmed as they're already struggling to deal with the patients they have now. That puts hospitals at risk of closure. We just celebrated that Fatima and Roger Williams are not closing, but that was a legitimate fear for a long time, and that fear is far too close for other hospitals as they're trying to figure out how they're going to deal with twice as many people without insurance. As many of you know, Rhode Island also has a shortage of primary care doctors. And if we do nothing, our healthcare system could collapse as a result of this combination of things. When people drop insurance, it's usually healthier people, because people with a lot of health conditions try to keep insurance as long as they can. When healthy people leave the insurance pool, it means that costs go up for all of us. So even if you don't think you're affected because you don't use some of the benefits that Congress cut funding for, we're still all participating in the same healthcare system that is teetering on the edge here in this state. These policies literally mean that more people will die, more people will skip necessary health care because they can't afford it, and educational outcomes will worsen because we all know that hungry children can't learn. And studies show that when their parents are sick, they don't learn as well either. Fortunately, there are plenty of things the state can do to protect Rhode Islanders and our vulnerable healthcare system. The most important first step is adding fairness back into our tax system. You may not know, but right now, people earning the least in this state pay a higher percentage of their income in state and local taxes than the people making the most money in this state. And I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem fair to me. Rhode Island has the resources we need. The richest Rhode Islanders, the highest earners, are getting an average tax break of $60,000, almost $60,000 a year on average because of this one big not so beautiful bill. So really what we're saying is it would be fair and just to redirect some of that money back to Rhode Island, because Rhode Island was relying on that federal money to provide for the needs of its citizens. Because when everyone pays their fair share, everyone wins. Those are the membership dues that we pay for a fair and just society. And I know that that's the kind of society I want to live in, where everyone pays their fair share so that children don't have to go hungry, so that people don't have to die unnecessarily, and so that our systems can function the way that they should to serve all of our needs. So I don't mean to depress you, because there is so much we can do, and there are so many people working towards tax justice so that we can provide more money to hospitals and free clinics so that they can deal with what's coming, so people can continue to access cancer treatment or dialysis and get their prescription medication. So thank you all for listening, and I'll be here after, ready to work with you, and we'll be working until this budget is passed so that Rhode Islanders, and especially the most vulnerable, can get what they need. Thank you.
Nina, thank you. Thank you for painting the picture for us. If we do nothing, struggling families will bear the burden. We'll have more hungry children. We'll have fewer people with health insurance. And we will do damage, not just stress, damage to our healthcare system. So, what we plan to do, and we need your help in this, we're going to ask for an increase in the state's highest tax bracket by 3% for the top 1% earners. Now, there's a lot of statistics in this, right? Like, I don't know what $200 million looks like. So I thought, you know what? What I'd like to do is offer a visual depiction of what I think this is. And this chain, which may be hard to see from back there, represents the lowest 20% earners in the state, okay? Families in this group are below the poverty level. The next group I want to illustrate is the middle 20%. And that would, with their income, it would look like this. Now, these are folks who are dealing with affordability just like the rest of us. And the next group is not going to be the top 20%. I would like to illustrate what the top 1% of the earners looks like. This is the top 1%, a 3% increase in tax. Seems hardly an impact, right? Not only that, but I wouldn't even know how to demonstrate it with chain links. But we get the picture. Now, my sense is that this reflects the economic situation in Rhode Island, but it's a Rorschach card. It reflects what we're allowing, because economic activity is not something that just kind of happens in malls. The structure is something that is, the system reflects the values of the people who allow it. And somehow allowing this doesn't seem to be a really good idea. So we could impact the economic policy with our values. In his Wealth of Nations, Adam Smith suggested that the optimal economic system would be one that was based on generosity and community. Smith struggled to find enough generous, community-oriented people, but he found that greed was ubiquitous, and so that maybe we have to consider that. Well, the control factor, the mitigating factor, he believed, was fairness and justice. And that's kind of what it is that we want to bring to the table, right? This is where we come in. As religious advocates, We inject values into the discussion. We expect fairness and justice. We don't have to come up with specific ideas to change the system. Unless you're an economist, in which case, go for it. But most of us, not so much. But our task is to inject our values into the conversation. Our task is to demand justice and fairness. Our task is to support specific ideas that contribute to justice and fairness. As some of you know, I've been doing this for many years, and my approach to advocacy by religious advocates is witness. We show up, whether we write or talk or speak in person. We show up as a witness to our values. We bring the moral yardstick to the conversation, because those are the values that we are. So, I think it's important to point out that morality is not what you talk about, it's really what you do. And so we bring what we do and how it impacts us into the conversation. We express the deepest truth of who we are because we do these things. I'm saying that we need to not leave our values in this room. As people who believe in inherent worth and dignity of all people, you have something to say. As people who believe that humans are essentially relational, you have something to say. As people who value the preciousness and sacredness of community, you have something to say. Don't leave it in this room. I would like to bring your attention that many of you in this religious community have actual firsthand knowledge of some of the hurt and pain and struggle that is going on. Your work with immigrants, sanctuary, your involvement with the ICE accompaniment program, providing clothing, the food pantry, you're there on the scene. You have the authority and the gravitas of people who rolled up their sleeves and are doing this. Case in point, one area with which we are intimately familiar is food scarcity, which is kind of a polite word for hunger. Some of the additional dollars will be used to cover the SNAP benefits that have been depleted on the federal level. We know, some of us who are involved with the food pantry know that in the fall, October, November, when SNAP benefits weren't available, and there was a frenetic rush to do food drives, and we were happy to do what we could, but we know that food pantries are only a stopgap measure. They're not the solution to hunger, but they're important. For us, the issue is personal. You know people who come to the food pantry. You know families struggling with not having enough to eat. You see the heartbreak, the fear, and the hurt. Feeding the hungry isn't just a nice thing to do. It's not doing somebody a favor. It's a moral imperative. And so to someone who is hungry, it's a necessity. I think it's important to understand, again, that morality isn't what we talk about, it's what we do. And if we look again at this illustration, fairness doesn't mean that each of these groups have the same number of chains. Fairness means that each group has what is sufficient and acceptable and workable. Everybody doesn't have the same. But adequacy is important, and folks down on this end are barely. Now, I'd like to suggest, whatever cost considerations we make for feeding hungry families, that we recognize that the burden carried by families with children. But how do you measure the hunger of a child? How do you measure a child's health? No child chooses circumstances in which they are born. Yet children bring their circumstances with them, and children in poverty bring these silent burdens with them. Hunger has an immediate, destructive physical impact on children, but it also takes a toll on their spiritual well-being. It erodes a child's sense of safety, belonging, and self-worth. The moral calculation we face is not whether we can afford to feed our children, but whether we can afford not to. Now, whether the issue is hunger, and it is, affordable housing, or medical care, there is always a price to pay. We're all in this together. If we have fewer people on health insurance, we all will be facing higher premiums. If our hospital emergency rooms are flooded with uninsured patients, and they should be treated, but they can't pay their medical bills, our healthcare system will dangerously erode, if not collapse. If we do nothing, the price of our inaction will be paid by everybody. So I realize that the moral compass in Washington is broken. However, ours is not. We are a community. Rhode Islanders will not sit back, numb and indifferent, and especially Unitarian Rhode Islanders. So I invite you to join me to act, to bring about economic fairness. Are you with me? Yes. Amen. Well, let's sing.
Teal hymnal, Standing on the Side of Love. I believe it's 2014, 2010. $10.14, I'm sorry. We have been warmed by fires we did not build. We have drunk at wells we did not dig. And we have gathered in fellowship in this space that is far older than any of us assembled. But it is this space, in this space, that we create and recreate anew, that bonds us to each other. We pass our collection baskets to make a community expression of thanks for our many blessings, those we have witnessed and those that are yet to come. The morning offering for the work of the congregation will now be generously given and gratefully received. And as always, thank you for all that you give, all that you do, and all that you are. And we have a few invitations, suggestions to help us live out our values as we go out into the world today. The UU Legislative Ministry Campaign for Tax Fairness will take place today. Reverend Jean has already told us about the issue. I have a few statistics. If those with taxable incomes of $640,000 and more were to add a 3% surtax to what they pay, we could possibly raise $203 million annually for our state. So there will be a letter writing campaign in the parlors during coffee hour to allow us to communicate with our state legislators so that they will pass a bill to institute this surtax. There will also be a young adult pizza and game night this Friday the 13th. Good luck getting to it. It's Friday the 13th. Today might as well have been Friday the 13th. But that will be in the parlors this coming Friday evening. A pizza supper. Come for fun and fellowship. If you are newer to First U, this is a great chance to meet others. Speak to Director of Religious Education, Jenny Nelson, if you have any questions about it. Don't forget that next Sunday is our annual Blessing of the Animals service. Bring your favorite two-legged, four-legged, furry, feathery, scaly, leathery, or otherwise non-human companion to worship for one of our favorite services. Lily wouldn't like that. She's been ill lately. Any pet that can be leashed or otherwise safely contained is welcome. And by the way, don't forget to read your First U Times every Friday so that you don't miss any important information about the many activities here at our church.
If I may pronounce a blessing, I want to say that as we are a community that is connected and affectionate with one another, that we delight in each other, we make each other's conditions our own. We rejoice together, mourn together, suffer together. Let us follow the counsel of the prophet Micah to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly on our path of life. Now go forth from this place in peace and grace to the coffee hour. Oops. Amen.
Now for our chalice extinguishing, please join us. It is printed in your order of service. We carry the flame of peace and love and hope until we meet again.
And we'll end with our closing song, May Love Be Your Guide, page 3 in your closing song booklet.